A new report published by Brita Intelligence shows that a meager 5% of total funding of businesses in Africa went to all-female co-founded teams last year. That report also revealed that the fintech sector remained the top funding grabber, while there's a need for diversification into other sectors. Let's get more on this now from Cole Segun. He's the founder and CEO at Fund the Gap Alliance. It's good to have you here bright and early in the new year. Thank you so much for coming.
Thank you for having me.
Good. Let's look at this. Let's start with this female funding gap issue. $42 billion US. This is what we're talking about here. This is mind-boggling.
Yes.
How do we bridge the gap?
Yes, I think first and foremost is the understanding that there are gaps to be identified and understanding that there's a stark bias towards female founders. And I think the more we begin to see, or we're intentional and more deliberate in making sure that we have investors that are for diversity, making an investment in diversity and diversity, quality and inclusion. And we have people, more female fund managers leading some of these rounds. I think that's how we begin to clear up the space and investing in more female founders. If you look at...
But everybody's talking about funding female entrepreneurship all over the world.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
So why is the money sitting down? Why is that gap? Is it that women are not trusted, female co-founders, all female are not trusted, or the folks just don't believe that they can return money? I've learned that women are better with the use of money than us.
Yes,
the male folks.
There are a lot of economic impact reports on why, if you fund more female founders, then definitely it's much better for the GDP of the economy or the technology ecosystem.
Yes.
But unfortunately, right, you still have a lot of funds being led by male GPs, and those male GPs still want to fund male founders, which is not rocket science. So that's why there's a big push starting from 2021 to seeing more female fund managers leading some of these funds, and they can now begin to identify the female founders that are to be funded.
Here we have a huge female population on the African continent. And again, when you're looking at where funds are going, we still talk about the big four, Nigeria, Kenya, South Africa, Egypt. Is this likely to continue in the new year, 2023 into 2024?
Yes, there's a concentration of funding in this this four tech ecosystems, right? But we're beginning to see a lot of spotlight on the francophone regions outside the big four, and for obvious reasons, because I think at the early funding landscape there was not enough data on
French-speaking Africa.
But now you're beginning to see data coming up. You're beginning to see founders being funded in the likes of Morocco, the likes of Tunisia. Just yesterday or 2 days ago, there was a major acquisition of a Tunisian born founder to the tune of $500 and something million. So I think
the francophone, yes, the francophone folks are coming.
Yeah, they're coming. Quite a number of them. So I think you look at Senegal, for example.
Yes.
Look at Wave. Look at the $200 million being raised. The Algerian startup raising $150 million. So I think as we begin to see these numbers, then we begin to see attention of VC shift to these ecosystems.
But why do pre-investors prefer pre-seed deals to Series A plus funding?
I think it goes back to the fruitive valuations that we saw at the start of 2022, right? And with fruitive valuations, there was a lot of correction in the market, right, because of the rapid acceleration of tech and also the low interest rate environment that we saw in 2021. So it's now much harder for later stage deals to defend their valuations. Hence, you see investors now going to the early stage deals. But what you now get to see is that if these valuations are too high, then for you to have good numbers, most of these startups have to become unicorns, and that's a big risk for investors. But that's one that they're willing to bet on. Yeah,
but again, fintechs, we need to diversify. Just like obviously, Nigeria keep talking about diversifying from oil. So you've got a whole lot of sectors to asking, choking, looking for money in Africa. Yet fintechs seem to be only where the money is going.
I'll be honest with you, I don't see the relationship between fintech and investors getting bad anytime soon. I think because with fintech, there's a clear path to profitability. But obviously, for me, I see in 2023 that I see investments moving into SaaS. I see investment moving into agri-tech because of a lot of infrastructure challenges, investments moving into healthcare and ed-tech. But for now, fintech still rules.
So, do you think we can begin to see more of local players in this funding, bringing more cash to the table, not just the Europeans, whether it's coming from France, Belgium, Germany, UK, Paris, as it were?
Yeah, I think we would always fee for investment, right? But now the local investors are waking up. We're seeing a lot of participation of local deals. We see VCs, firms like Future Africa, Lofty Inc. Management. You see firms like Launch Africa leading some of these rounds in the early stage. So we're beginning to see an awakening of the local investment community, and we hope that continues. And another good thing is we're seeing a lot of democratization of VC education across Africa. So the more we have that, the more we have a lot of aspiring investors coming into the field and start funding local because they understand the local problems. And I think
there are folks with deep pockets in Nigeria and across Africa, individuals who want to go into, who would like to invest in startups. What do we need to attract these individuals with deep pockets?
I think it's a combination of both the public and the private sector. I think this has to be government-led. In some of our work at Fund the Gap Alliance, we're working with the SEC and the Nigerian Exchange Group. We're putting together a lot of committees that bring on board some of these high net worth individuals and the local investment community to begin to draft practical developmental guidelines around angel investment and venture capital. So I call it high net worth individual evangelism.
I like that.
To begin to now get them to understand that, look, beyond the real estate, beyond treasury yields, beyond the stock market, there's actually the tech ecosystem. But who are these players? How do you get involved? And how can you deploy capital? I think that's what...
So the Nigerian Exchange Group you just mentioned is looking, you just set up the new technology board. That's music to your ears. You need to bring companies to that board.
Awesome,
my friend. That's part of your job. You do that evangelism.
Yes.
Are you looking at that?
Yes, I'm actually part of the technology board. We're working with the Nigerian Exchange Group to build this technology board and invite players to come on board. Players like Piggyvest, Flutterwave, to see how they can IPO, even if it's a dual listing, wherever you
do something like Spark. Okay, like we had in the US.
Yes, definitely. And we held the webinar last year, and some of these players are really excited to come on board. But I think there's more that needs to be done, because as much as we're talking about this digital world, there's a lot of fiscal infrastructure that needs to be put in place. Things like tax incentives to investors, a clear path to exit strategies, and how money can come in and money can go out. And I think as we begin to see this, then you definitely have the local players come on board.
What further developments would you like to see in that space in terms of investment funding across sub-Saharan Africa?
Yes, I think, just like I mentioned, a lot of tax incentives, right, given to venture capitalists, right, for them to be able to come in. You
VCs also, everyone want tax holidays, as it were.
Yes, definitely.
But every government everywhere is looking for revenue, tax revenue, by the way.
True. If you look at what has gone on in Kigali, for example, now to set up the Kigali International Finance Center.
So, yes.
Exactly. And with this, you begin to see a shift in terms of venture capital, foreign venture capital coming into the country, saying, look, this country is ready for business. I think we need to start seeing things like that. For example, look at what Talent City being built by some of the most amazing tech founders in Africa. We need to see things like this, and with this kinds of developments, then you see a lot of venture capital investment coming into.
When you guys are making more money and bringing more companies to the market, let me be the first to know.
Definitely.
Thank you so much. Thank you for those insights into Africa's investment space. Segun, founder and CEO at Fund the Gap Alliance. Okay.